Yo, what up? This is Josh. Welcome to Jay's Sideline, one half of the FNS podcast. My man's Matt and the queens that do participate. I just wanted to talk about the highly anticipated, long-awaited college football 25 video game that's coming out. All of us that are fans of the college football game, it's been over a decade since we've gotten a new college football video game. And now we finally get one, thankfully, because all of the legal things have gotten straightened out and players can get paid for their name, image, and likeness and whatnot. Which is, I have my own feelings about that. But today I want to just do a little quick thing about this game and try to have some realistic expectations for it before any actual gameplay footage has been dropped. I'm gonna say this about what I'm gonna do. For me personally, I'm keeping my expectations low. Because EA has not given us anything recently from a football game standpoint that warrants me to have high expectations. Madden has been disappointing year after year, and there's going to be a whole episode about that coming out. Me and Matt going to talk about that a little bit. But I'm going to just say the same people that have been creating Madden is involved with creating this college football 25. And don't get it twisted. Just because I love college football, I was bigger on college football than I was on Madden, than I've ever been. They can just copy and paste what Madden is and just make some college football tweaks to it, like have recruiting, have the college intros, have the college traditions, try to mimic the college environment with the chants and the bands and stuff like that. They can copy and paste the gameplay that Madden is and put all that other stuff that has college written all over it in the game, and I'm still going to buy it and I'm still going to play it. That's just because I'm a football fan through and through, and I'm still going to support it. I'm going to be realistic though, and I'm going to say where the faults and the good things are, I should say. But I'm not, and I don't think anybody should expect this game to blow anybody out the water. I think we can realistically have the expectation for college football to be what Madden is. And if you remember back when we were getting college football games, college was always like a sneak preview of what Madden was going to be from a gameplay perspective. A whole lot of the features that we saw in college from a gameplay perspective that would be called brand new would be put in the Madden game. That's one thing. Two, the last college football game didn't really end on a high note for me as far as gameplay is concerned. In the college game, and I'm going based off of reality right now, in the college game, speed is more advertised than anything, whereas in the NFL you have to have that deadly speed in order for you to like really see it on a regular basis. But in college you can just have speed and you'll see that on a regular basis. Deadly speed, let alone, you'll definitely see that too. And there's a whole lot more big plays that happen in college, whereas the pros, not so much. And the last college football game, college football 14 with Denard Robinson on the cover, and actually the last 3 college games, 14, 13 with RG3 and Barry Sanders, 12 with Mark Ingram. I didn't really feel speed in that game. I didn't. Of those 3, I would say my favorite was 13. Even though 12 introduced the like college introductions, like that was really dope. That brought a whole different feel to the game. I liked the recruiting on 13. I like the fact, you had to make like phone calls and you had to like actually try to like learn things about the different players and try to talk them into coming to your school, make promises and things of that nature, and you will get commitments and stuff like that. I'm not a fan of the just throwing points at a player, and that's what college football 14 was. College football 14, you just threw points on a player based on the maximum available points that you had on a week-to-week basis to distribute amongst the certain players that you were going after. I'm not a fan of that, but I like the fact that you actually have to recruit, because recruiting was, and in some cases still is, a big part of college football, or college sports period, but this is just focusing on college football 25. So I feel like the way they ended, I'm not sure if they're going to give us that back. I don't know. If somebody else knows, and if you happen to listen to this, put it in the comment section. The other thing about it is that same college atmosphere introduction type that we got on 12 and 13, they took that away from us in 14 and just had like some guitar music playing with like just clips of them just speeding past all of that. I'm a Florida State fan. I want to see Chief Osceola coming out on Renegade and planting the spear with the fire on the tip at the 50-yard line. That's what I want to see. For people that are going to be on the Colorado bandwagon, they're going to want to see the people running out with the buffalo, because that's part of college football Colorado tradition. Clemson running down the hill and rubbing the rock, that's part of their tradition. Auburn with the War Eagle, that's part of their tradition. There's certain things that is just part of the tradition of college football and college teams that it makes the environment what it is. And when they just sped past that was not good in my mind. And then you got the crowd environment. This is where the PS2 days kind of had that rocking really hard. The crowd environment, you felt that playing the PS2 version of the games more than you did on the PS3. At least in my opinion, you did. And the other thing too is, what has become a big deal, it was a big deal for college fans back then, the Road to Glory feature. And now with NBA 2K having this My Park effect on the basketball community for the NBA. You can't even call it NBA now because it's more so about My Park than it is about the actual NBA game, but that's another subject for another day also. There's value in creating a character and going through what their career would be like and playing it out. And on college, they had a lot of good traits about that. I like the fact that you was able to play a full high school season and playoff to build up your star ranking and your spark ranking. Have teams coming after you based on how you perform. That was a dope feature, I felt. And then the other thing too was the coaching trust thing. I really feel like that's a real thing that they should keep, because you have to earn the right to be able to, like, say you was to create a quarterback, you had to earn the right to audible out of the play that the coach called. I feel like that's very realistic. You had to earn the right to audible out of a certain play. Just like on defense, if you was going to try to call a different play or whatever, you had to earn the right to be considered trustworthy for that, at least on the game. And that's how it works in real life too, to a degree. A whole lot of quarterbacks, you know, they get limited rope with freelancing the offense based on how they've performed in practice, how they performed in the classroom, knowing the playbook and the schemes and the opponent that they playing against, and then most importantly their game performance. They get different flexibility based on those things. So I liked that feature about the Road to Glory. But once again, what I didn't like about it, obviously speed wasn't advertised enough. But when you would create a defensive back from scratch, and I don't know why this is the case, but you wouldn't be able to jump. Like, you wouldn't be able to jump off the ground. That had to be some kind of bug that they never paid attention to. But like every single time I created whether it be a corner or a safety, my jumping would always be like at 50 whatever. Couldn't get off the ground, and that's a big part of being able to make plays, especially in the defensive backfield. So I felt like that was something that they just easily missed, and nobody ever brought that up. But then, say you play your college career out, and you end out. Say you play your high school career out. I'm sorry. Say you play your high school career out, and you commit to whatever school. But let's say you finish being a 5-star recruit. Your ratings won't reflect that. Like if you was a 5-star recruit running back, your speed would be like 86. Like, that don't make no sense to me. Your speed would be like 86. It makes absolutely no sense. They try to make you have to win practice reps to gain certain points that you would spend from week to week based on what is available to get your speed up, because that was where speed upgrades was available. I don't necessarily agree with that. You know, if a player is that dude coming out of high school, theoretically, there's just certain things that he should come into the college game having. And in most of those cases, it's some sort of freakish athletic ability or some elite athletic ability, whether it be elite speed, movement, strength, whatever. Those things should translate based on what the player position is. So I feel like they could have did better there. And I'm just pointing out to you the things that I remember. But that is a feature that has become even more so part of modern day gaming. The other thing too that fans have been craving for modern day gaming, especially when it comes to football. You can do this in basketball with 2K, but not so much openly with Madden. But to be able to create your own team. In college, in the PS2 days, you used to be able to create your own school, and that was a dope feature. Now with the later versions, the PS3 versions, you could technically create your own school, but you have to go through more loops to do it. Like you had to have this account on this computer website where you would create your team on the computer with they uniform colors and designs and roster, and then you would transfer that to the game. You couldn't just go to a create a school feature. Don't know why, but you couldn't just do that. Like, that's something that people want to do, especially gamers. You know, people want to have their creativity to be able to be displayed, and don't make it hard on people to do that. You know, Madden, with what they do, you know, when you wanna move a franchise to a different location, then you have like a limited amount of different things to go with to be able to have a fresh team, but it's not necessarily you creating a new team. So to have that create a team feature, I feel like that's something that needs to happen. And then the other thing, this is one thing that bothered me when it came to the recruiting feature of the player pool, the prospect pool. It's not realistic to what we see in real life. What I mean by that, there are hotbed states that pump out a ton of talent year after year, and they can be very dominant in that fashion. It doesn't mean that they have to have the best available one at a certain position, but they would definitely have the most available at certain spots. So when I say recruiting hotbeds, Florida, Texas, California, Ohio, Louisiana now, and Georgia getting up there. You know, so like these were hotbed states where a lot of the bigger schools, they would try to have a pipeline down there so they can have a steady contribution of some of the best players in the country. I didn't feel like college captured that aspect pretty good. There would always be players available. Sometimes you'll have players coming from some random state that are top player recruits and whatnot, and it just wouldn't make sense that way. Those little things bothered me. And then the other thing, having it correct based on you know who the players are. Trying to say this without sounding messed up about it, but there ain't really any white cornerbacks coming out of high school. There ain't too many white running backs coming out of high school. But sometimes you would have them at a steady diet at some of these positions, and sometimes they will be the best in those positions. Those things don't happen in reality, so I would like to see them, you know, catch up with that. Not to say there can't be one every now and then, but to have it happen as often as it did it wasn't accurate. And the other thing that was cool about it is the custom conference thing. The custom conference, that was a good feature because you can play with it. I know me personally, I did, because I would have the conferences more accurate based on region. So, for instance, being a Florida State fan, I had all the schools from Florida, Georgia, Mississippi, Alabama. You know, I had all of them, all the top schools in the same conference. Same thing with the Midwest. I had all of them top schools in the same conference. You know, I like that feature. That's a pretty good feature. You can do a lot of things with that. That used to exist for NFL game, NFL 2K5. In my opinion, the best football game, pro football game ever made, easily in my mind. And in ESPN 2K5, you used to be able to do custom conferences and move teams around. So that was a pretty dope feature. But those are things that they should keep. But from a gameplay perspective, not having speed and acceleration and change of direction properly shown is a big deal, especially for the college game. And then even though college football is not the greatest technically sound across the board, the great players do have great technique. And EA, they don't really advertise that well, period, when it comes to technique, especially when it came to defensive back technique. There was no proper back pedal. There was no proper play of playing the ball with a receiver's hands. There was no proper impact from the best players when you played on the greatest level. The hardest level, which would have been Heisman. Madden somewhat still has that same problem. When you are playing with some of the best players in the video game, I feel like you should be able to feel their presence. And everybody has a different style of presence. You know, like going back to Florida State days with Jalen Ramsey. Jalen Ramsey was a physical presence on the field, and while also being a ball hawk. That was something that you know, you really don't feel those kind of things in the video game. Even though he didn't live up to it, Jadeveon Clowney was one of the most physically gifted athletic freaks. And at South Carolina, he was scary just because of that, you know. And like, he has one of the most famous defensive plays that a defensive player can have in the game against Michigan. Y'all can look that up. Michigan, they got stopped, and the refs pulled the chains out to measure if they got the first down. And everybody can clear as day see that they were short, but the ref still gave them the first down. And then the very next play, Jadeveon Clowney just explodes past the offensive line and hits the Michigan running back, knocking off his helmet and causing a fumble and recovering the fumble at the same time. That's one of the biggest plays in college football history. There's nothing like that, and there's not enough of that. One of the cool things that the PS2 version did with their star players, they had that like little like fluctuating, vibrating kind of circle underneath the player. The impact players, what they called them. and those guys would be able to make big plays in big moments. Those are the kind of things that I'm looking for, that I would want. And because, they didn't leave with that, I don't have the high hopes that those kind of things are going to return. Now if they just learned from what they gave us in the past, they can give us a really good game. Probably the best gameplay was NCAA 09-10 in my opinion. Probably. But the best features was probably in 13 when you wrap it all up. But everybody, let's just pump our brakes with this. I know some people is going to want to go buy the Legend copy, I guess it is. That's going to be $150. Why would you do that? Why would you do that? There's no reason for us to do that. EA has dropped the ball year after year. The same guys that's making Madden, the same Madden that there's so many YouTube clips and people that show some of the weirdest things that happen and some of the most dumbest things that happen on a consistent year-to-year basis. Some of those same people are making this game, so don't have high expectations, and I wouldn't pay $150 for this. This is going to be the first game of the return of college football. I wouldn't do it. Pay the base price. Let them prove to you that they worth you doing all of the extra stuff. I mean, because technically $60, $70 is too much for the product that they've been putting out. But just because that's the standard price for a new game, we're going to be willing to pay that just to get college football back. People already be modding Madden, which is some of those mods be looking real dope. They mod Madden and make it a college game, and some of those mods be looking real dope. Let's just hold on before we start to get ready to drop our hard-earned money, a lot of it, on something that we don't have any type of evidence to have a confident feeling that there's going to be something quality here. Like, I have no doubts that the same people that's complaining about Madden, which is I'm one of those people that will complain, I just don't have no YouTube page complaining about it. Some of those same people, they're going to have material to complain about right away. Just like I will. And just like you will. Most likely. So, just pump the brakes on it. Just be happy that the game is coming back. Have low expectations would be my recommendation. And just be pleasantly surprised if they happen to exceed past that. But that's what I wanted to talk about real quick. I know I didn't say everything. I didn't write down everything that I could have said, so I'm just going off the top of my head right now. If I happen to come up with more, you'll probably hear that when we have the episode talking about Madden. So just be on the lookout for that. That's things is in the works, we have to have time for this. So we got that on the schedule though, so be on the lookout for it. Like, subscribe, check out Freeze Corner. He's been pretty consistent with dropping up-to-date content about some of the biggest things going on. So look out for that. Outside of that, see you on the next one. Peace.
Intentions to be the best, not just sports, every box we check, whatever topic we address, no such thing as putting us to the test. We not compromise. Guess you could say we selfish in that sense. What's your top 10? We break it down a list. Not moved by analytics. We judging off live production. You handle your business, we talk about it. Sync up the building, we talk about it. Not just star focus. Attention goes to the whole roster. Show you how conduct a show proper. No props or dialogue. Fact droppers. This the right show you chose. Keep you in the know and never moving the goalpost. You heard what I said? I said we never moving the